Hi, everyone, and welcome to Region Weather Live here on this Sunday evening in the middle of what feels like the middle of summer. I appreciate you guys spending some time with me here to talk about a little bit of weather. We have moved locations again. My wife is an interior designer, so she decided to move things around in the house again. So we moved my office again. So I'm now back down where I used to be, just in a different location. So we're going to try the internet down here. It seems to be better. So just let me know if you see any glitches or anything like that. Obviously, we want to keep this running smoothly. And obviously, this is a test for when we have severe weather. I don't want any glitches whatsoever. But what's nice about this is that it's quiet. The kids aren't going to be running in here after a bath, and it's going to be a lot more manageable. It's just me down here and a cat in a litter box who just happened to use it. We also have a problem. I don't know if you guys are dealing with. I don't know if you guys are dealing with this or not, but all of a sudden the last 2 days, and I know it's the season for it, we have a lot of flies in the house, and like we keep the house fairly clean for having 4 kids, but man, I think the epicenter's down here, because there's like 8 to 10 flies on each window. I feel like it's kind of like the movie I think it's The Exorcist, where the flies are landing all over the priest. Anyway, so if you see any flies laying on me, if you could also let me know that would be great. So anyway, that's what we're dealing with here at the Wins household. Hope you guys had a nice weekend. Obviously, we are getting into what seem to be, or typically are, the hottest months of the year, the hottest weeks of the year as well, as we get into late June and July, obviously. We do have some warmth coming our way, and that's what we're going to take a look at in this broadcast. I always like to go long term because you can get the local forecast on an app, okay, and I get that, and I can put a little life and a little color into that to let you know exactly, what we can expect in the next couple of days. But I do want to focus more on long term and kind of what you're going to see change in your app, what's kind of up in the air in terms of that, and we'll plan out obviously your weekends as well. I've said obviously like 10 times, obviously. All right, I want to thank our sponsors first and foremost. Let me get the map up and rolling here for you guys so you can take a look at the pretty colors on there. Guys, all of our sponsors are local to Northwest Indiana, which is just awesome. They're just wonderful people that run these businesses. I put my name behind them, Region Weather's name behind them. They're just great. So anyway, I want to start at the top. FBI Buildings. If you haven't heard of them, they're our newest sponsor. They're just awesome. They're a Midwest post frame construction company. If any of you have pole barns, or you have a horse, perhaps you're looking for a barn for the horse, any kind of barn or post frame construction that you need, whether it be something that exists on your property or something you're looking for, they do it all. They've done over 20,000 farm shops, commercial businesses. They've done horse barns, residential buildings, they repair, they renovate, and they build. So if you want something built, they'll do that. If you have an existing pole barn that needs some work or renovation, perhaps, they'll do that as well. They're amazing. It's FBIbuildings.com. Again, over 20,000, and the reviews are through the roof. Or you can call 1-800-552-2981. But FBIbuildings.com, place to go for them. PSA, that's our public service adjusters. Guys, if you don't know who they are by now, where have you been? If you have an insurance claim, don't go to your insurance company first. Go to the public service adjusters. They're all licensed, insured, and local in Northwest Indiana. What they will do, they will act actually on your side versus your insurance company, which tries to short you and tries to get you, not enough money for what you need, whether it be flooding in the basement, whether it be damage on the property, whatever that is. Go to PSA, that's publicserviceadjusting.com. Go to them first. They'll do everything for you with that claim between you and the insurance company. They're fantastic. 5-star reviews across the board for them. Publicserviceadjusting.com. Navigating the world of healthcare and life insurance and Medicare, all that stuff, right? As we not only get up in age, but as we plan for getting up in age, all that stuff is messy, right? There are a lot of new rules, not a lot of new laws coming in, all that stuff. Thank goodness there's an expert who knows that like the back of his hand. Michael Minogue is just amazing at it. Minogue.life is the place to go. He will sit down with you for free, and he'll talk about whatever your needs happen to be. He'll answer your questions for you. He'll give you a consultation, which is just kind of get you in the right direction. Again, it's minogue.life.com, or minogue.life is the website. He's been doing this for Northwest Indiana residents for many, many years. He knows his stuff, much like we tend to know weather. So go to him if you have any questions around Medicare, individual health, all that stuff. Okay. TigerPlumbing.net is the place to go for your plumbers. If you have an outdoor spigot that's shooting all over the place when you're trying to water the garden, you're wasting water, they'll come out and fix it. They also install faucets. They have a Delta faucet line. They're just great. They come out for free, which is rare this day and age. It's TigerPlumbing.net. You can now schedule on your mobile. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso. If you guys need a new car, that's the place to go. They've got used cars on the lot, but they've got some pretty sweet new cars, including some rare Jeeps and rare vehicles that are just crazy technology-wise. Grieger's Chrysler Dodge Jeep Ram in Valparaiso, right on US 30, place to go. Finally, last but not least, Ewing Mechanical Services. It's ewingmech.com. They have a special right now on new AC systems. It's 0% financing for 60 months. That's a really long time. So basically, same as cash for 60 months on new systems. Let's say you have an existing AC that just needs tuned up. They're doing that for $69. They'll come clean it. They'll put in a new filter. They'll get that thing shiny and new as we bring in some heat here. It's ewingmech.com. Wonderful family-owned business there. Okay. All right. Let's jump into this. Let's see what we've got weather-wise coming up. Let's see who we have first on board. Mary's with us. Jeff's with us. Stephen, good evening to you. Linda, good evening to you. Mary enjoyed the day. It certainly was beautiful today. Honor's with us on our YouTube channel. Darlene as well. Yeah, we'll talk about some of those storm chances, Honor, for sure. Here's JP's joke of the day. Moving rooms with those flies must have created quite the buzz. Very good, JP. I appreciate that. Okay, a little staticky on the mic. You know what I'm going to do? Let's just make sure all of our connections are here, because, again, I had to move, and I may have loosened something up. Hopefully this works okay. All right. I hate static. I hate a poor performance. So it's a lot of static. Oh, no. So what we're going to do here, guys, let me just take my mic, and I'm going to unplug this. We're going to Can you guys hear me okay now? We're going straight off the computer. Hopefully this has worked. Okay. All right, Jeff, thank you. So hopefully we're good now. All right, let's dive into the forecast. I'll work on the mic situation. I don't know what it is. We have a snowball mic too, which these things work great, but something with the move might have translated it. So that's that. All right. So weather-wise, guys, what we're dealing with right now, obviously, is a flow out of the northwest. It's on the cooler side of things. We've had some pretty chilly nights around here last couple of days, and we've said goodbye to the humidity, as we talked about last week. Humidity's going to come back. Heat's going to come back as well. All right, so we've got that kind of to look forward to this week. If you're a summer lover, let's say you have a pool and you're waiting for that thing to heat up. Mother Nature's certainly not doing it. We're going to see what happens here over the next couple days, because we're going to start to really change things around a little bit, okay? So there's that. All right, so what we've got right now, big picture-wise across the country, is all the actions out west. We have a flow out of the northwest here in the eastern half of the country. That has shut off the Gulf of Mexico and all the humidity with it as well. And what that's doing is bringing in a constant diet of some cooler air. We hit 81 degrees today. That is our average. So today is average. It's where we should be for this time of year, but it was a drier 81. The humidity really wasn't much to speak of, and that's going to be the case the next few days. So tomorrow is going to be the coolest day. Probably the coolest day in June, the whole entire month, all right? And I'll show you why. We've got another frontal boundary that's going by tonight. It's passing dry, so there's that. But we're going to see the winds pick up. We're already starting to see them pick up a little bit this evening. It's been breezy, but they're really going to pick up tonight, and it'll be breezy tonight, and this will continue tomorrow. And you can see this strong northerly flow that we get. It's really hard to get a northerly flow this time of year, especially when you've got all this warm air and the systems that are trying to move in from the plains and the heat that's trying to move in from the plains. It's rare to get a north wind, and we're going to have that tomorrow. And that north wind is coming right out of the North Pole. It really is. It's not cold this time of year. It's actually pretty nice. But temperatures tomorrow aren't going to get out of the 60s. Some of the models are showing upper 50s that will hold there. I've got us at 66 at the Porter County Airport. That's our center hub for the area. But I think we'll hold in the low 60s near the lakeshore tomorrow, a little bit warmer down in Newton, Jasper County. Either way, it's going to be kind of a refreshing day tomorrow. May pop a shower early in the morning as the frontal boundary works through. Otherwise, we're dry. We will have some clouds around tonight into tomorrow morning, and then the clouds will clear out. We'll have some sunshine, okay? That's what we're dealing with now. And then our next system starts to move in Tuesday into Wednesday, but this one kind of misses us to the north. We may get clipped by an isolated storm. I've got that moving in perhaps late Tuesday into Wednesday. But I don't think we get a lot of rain from that. That's not going to be much. The big story is going to be the heat. And I mentioned that, in the title of the broadcast. This is what we're looking at for 8 to 14-day temperature outlook. Just because it's bright red doesn't mean it's going to be super hot. It just means we have the best chance of seeing above average temperatures over really anyone in the country. All right. So you can see the scale down here. And this is why I don't like, outlooks and stuff like that, because this looks awful. It looks like it's going to be just gangbusters hot. That's not the case. I mean, it just shows the percentage that we are above average. All right. And it's going to be above average. Okay. It's going to get a little bit warmer around here. Just a quick drought monitor check. This comes out on Thursdays, but I just want to kind of level set everyone where we are in the drought. We're fine right now. We're anywhere in Northwest Indiana. We're anywhere from about 2 to 5 inches above average in terms of our ground soil moisture on the year. Farmers like to go by that number. A lot of our gardeners and those of you that just have lawns, that you like to take care of, that's a good number to have a nice surplus like that. We obviously had a very rainy end to May around here. June's gone a little bit dry. We're about a half inch below average on June, but overall we're sitting pretty in terms of our ground moisture right now. And the Corn Belt has improved as well. If you remember our broadcast we did back in early spring, we were talking about a pretty bad drought that had developed over the winter for areas of Iowa, Nebraska, Kansas as well. A lot of the places where corn is grown, we don't want to be going into a drought. And a lot of times when there's drought in the plains, we tend to get some of that searing heat that they can get when they have really dry soil out there. So all these things have fixed themselves. Mother Nature did a really nice job bringing some much needed rain to the Corn Belt. There's still some drought ongoing in Kansas. You notice how that extends back down into Texas and New Mexico. This will probably get worse as you get into western Texas and New Mexico. They're going to rely on not just monsoon season here, which kickstarts later this month into July especially, but they'll also rely on tropical systems that may come into Texas, and head west and kind of fade. That's what they're going to need across that portion of the country. And then Kansas, who knows if they're going to improve or not? It just depends on the weather pattern. But hopefully they'll see some improvement there. But we are fine here in Northwest Indiana, okay, in terms of ground moisture, just so you know. All right, let's go through time. Let's plan out our week, and we'll head to next weekend as well, take a look at it. We're dry tomorrow, as I mentioned. We'll have perhaps some lingering morning clouds, and we'll have sunshine. Nice, refreshing breeze out of the north. We're in the 60s tomorrow. Probably the coolest day for the rest of June, because then we start to warm up. Here's your Tuesday system coming in. I said we might have an isolated storm with that. Most of it's going to be north of here, so I really don't see too much of a system with that. There's your isolated storm chance. This is really Wednesday, midday in the afternoon, as the Euro's denoting there. And then here comes our better chance of rain. So later this week, Tuesday I've got it 75. So remember, we're mid-60s tomorrow, kind of on the cooler side. 75 on Tuesday, still low humidity on Tuesday. It'll be dry. And then Wednesday's the day that I have us really bumping up in terms of temperatures, and that humidity is going to be back. Wednesday's the day where you're going to say, oh, it's summer again. All right. I've got us at 85 for a high. I have an isolated storm around on Wednesday, and humidity is going to be ramping up, and it's going to be pretty humid around here by late in the day. Okay. All that humidity carries over into Thursday. Thursday is going to be our hottest day of the week. As of right now, I've got us at 89 for a high. Some of the models are saying anywhere from 86, 87. A few other models are saying low 90s. So I think 89 is a good place to put it. And we're going to get some storms on Thursday as well. All right. That humidity will be here. Thursday is going to be a hot, summery day. And then we'll likely see storms develop along a boundary that's sinking south with some drier air to the north. So there's cooler, drier air that'll be sitting north of here. This will trigger some storms. And some of these storms could be on the severe side on Thursday. All right. Not a guarantee, but they'll likely blow up. You'll see clusters of them as that front sinks south. And they could be pretty potent. And why do we think that? Well, the jet stream's not going to be too involved with this one. So there's that. But if we're sitting at 89 or 90 degrees, we've got a dew point running in the upper 60s. That's enough fuel for the fire. There's going to be plenty of atmospheric energy to form some pretty big storms. So Thursday's our severe weather day. Okay, we're going to keep our eye out for that. And then that system will sink south. And on Friday, depending on the timing, we may have some lingering rain around early Friday. But I kind of feel like as of right now, this thing gets out of here and we bring in a more refreshing air mass on Friday. And that would settle in for the weekend. I've got us in the upper 70s Friday, upper 70s Saturday. And then Sunday, that heat and humidity builds back. I've got us in the upper 80s for right now. Okay. As of right now, the weekend also looks dry. I know a lot of us have weekend plans every weekend this time of year. between weddings and graduation parties and events and all that stuff. I get it. You're busy. And as of right now, next weekend looks good. It looks nice and dry. It's all going to hinge on when that front gets out of here Thursday into Friday. All right. That's really the only front we have to deal with this week. And then beyond that, it does look like, at least on the Euro model, that we get a little bit more of a return flow of moisture out of the south. There's some kind of system that comes together on Monday into Tuesday. This is June 17th and 18th. This would bring not just a storm threat, but a heavier rain threat, which by that time, if we go mainly dry this week, we'll actually kind of need the rain by the time we get to the following week. So we'll see if that transpires or not. Last thing I have to show you is temperatures. All right. I don't see any prolonged heat waves. As of last week, it was looking like this one would have a little bit more staying power that's coming this week, but it's not the case. This is what the GFS says in terms of temperatures. You can see that stair climb. Again, I go 66. I've got 75 Tuesday. I've got 85 Wednesday. So I'm going a little bit above guidance here. Then I've got us at 89 on Thursday. And then a little bit cooler this weekend. Not bad, just a little bit cooler. And then we're back up to some heat. Euro agrees with that as well, that we get some heat in here next Monday, Tuesday, the following, which would be 17th, 18th. And then we don't really keep that heat for very long. We bring back some cooler readings as we go into the latter half of June. So we'll see if this holds. This is kind of fantasy land on the models, but this looks good to me, where we ramp up, we cool down just a little bit, and then we ramp back up the beginning of next week. Okay. So that's what we're looking at in terms of your local forecasts over the next 7 to 10 days. Even a little bit further than that. As we look into the crystal ball into late June, again, I don't see any big 90-degree stretches, which we could easily do this time of year, especially heading into 4th of July. So we'll see what continues to happen as we go throughout the year. All right, let's go ahead and answer your questions for you. If you guys have any weather questions whatsoever, go ahead and ask them in the chat. I'm telling you, you guys are the special brood that spends some time with me on a Sunday evening. I definitely appreciate that. All right, so let's see. We see JP says, I know the black lines are isobars, but what are the red ones? JP, great question. So he's referring to this map here. So the red lines are heights in the atmosphere. Basically, it's the temperature at different levels of the atmosphere. So we use that. I don't use the red lines. We can use them to denote heat waves. It tells you basically how tall is that warm air mass in the atmosphere, like how far up does it go. The warmer the air mass, obviously, the bigger of a dome of warmth that you have, right? What we really use heights for is for in the wintertime to find out where that freezing line is. And that tells us what kind of precip we're going to get, if we're even at risk for snow or ice or anything like that. But in the summertime, I don't really use it a whole lot. But that's what they have on this. It's different colors on different maps. Some maps show it, some maps don't. The Weather Bell, which is the program I use, they happen to have it. So yeah, you're right. Black's isobars, and then those are the heights in the atmosphere. Yeah, great question. All right, let's see. Wendy says, what time for possible severe storms on Thursday? Wendy, good question. It's a little bit too early to tell that, unfortunately. As of right now on a Sunday, when we're forecasting storms on Thursday, it's still in kind of the pattern recognition stage, where we can say, hey, there's a front coming, and that front may have some big storms with it. All right. Timing is going to change. If I were to tell you time right now, it would change by the time we got to Thursday. We can fine tune timing usually 2 days out with severe weather. A day out is that's really nice. But in this pattern, especially with thunderstorms that blow up, there's so much that hinges on that in terms of where they develop, where the storms are the night before has a lot to do with where they develop. So if we're off on where they are the night before, then we're off the next day. So either way, right now I would be leaning towards afternoon, probably afternoon into the evening. That's just, as of right now, that's what I would think. All right. So we'll keep you updated throughout the week. Rich, thank you. I appreciate you, buddy. I hope you enjoyed your weekend for sure. Ethan, I'm not sure. We do stand in terms of severe risk on Friday for Northeast Ohio. Ethan, I do think we have a risk. Yeah, we're going to have the same frontal boundary, so we'll have to keep an eye on that for sure. Yeah. Stephen, on Saturday looks good in Michigan. Yeah. I'm not quite sure. See, we pronounce it Milan here in Ohio, but it's probably Milan in Michigan. I'm not sure where that is exactly. My geography in Michigan's not great. It could be because I went to Ohio State. But anyway, go Bucks. But anyway, either way, Michigan looks great on Saturday. It really does. And all Ohio State jokes aside and all that stuff, Michigan really is a beautiful state. I mean, we would go up to the New Buffalo area all the time when we lived in Chicago. There's just so much in Michigan it's like Napa Valley up north as you get up the northern part, which is just great. Katie, thank you. But anyway, it looks good. Here's your weather forecast Saturday, Michigan. There'll be some storms brewing up towards Minneapolis, those areas, but we should be good in Michigan. Pretty low humidity as well for this time of year. Ethan, yeah, we could be dealing with an MCS. It's the pattern on this, Ethan, it's not clean. It's not the clean MCS heat ridge, right? Where the dome of heat builds and it holds and it's really strong and you get these storms along it. It's not like that. We don't have that really developing yet. There's like a chunk of it that comes in and then you get storms that develop along a cold front rather than the heat dome. And that will push the heat down to the south. The heat will come back and we'll see more storms develop. So it's not a real clear pattern where we're going to see these fine-tuned MCS structures on, radar. I think it's going to be more of a frontal boundary with storms that pop. So for sure. Stephen, thanks. Mylan, got it. Thank you. Yeah, for sure. That's great. That's how we say we have a Mylan in Ohio, and we say it that way too. I want to say Milan, but no, it's Mylan. Very good. Well, have a good trip, Stephen. That sounds fun. That'll be great for sure. All right, guys, that's all I got for you. I hope that helps. I mean, I hope you got something out of this. That's the whole point. I don't want to waste your time on stuff either. So there's that. Yeah, JP, that's what Ethan's asking. Are the storms going to be associated with Ring of Fire? I don't think so in this case. I really don't. The Ring of Fire pattern is going to try to establish, but I don't think it's going to be the true Ring of Fire pattern that we see every night. MCSs are developing with the low-level jet and then rolling south. I don't see that happening. I could see it happening here, the 15th and 16th, once we get rolling there. I mean, this kind of looks like the pattern starting to develop. But in terms of this week, I mean, this is more so frontal boundary based. So, yeah, we've got heat out here, but this is more of a front doing it rather than the Ring of Fire, if that makes sense. When there's the Ring of Fire pattern, I mean, those storms are blowing up every night in multiple sections of that ring, right? Whereas this one is like, it starts to develop and the heat's trying to move in and then a front's coming in and kind of develops the storms along it. So it's going to be kind of a pseudo Ring of Fire pattern, if that makes sense. All right. Either way, we're going to have to watch out for storms. We could have the same kind of storms that we'd have in that pattern. So there's that. Okay. All right. You guys have a wonderful night. I hope you're enjoying June. June's a wonderful month. And we're going to keep it rolling this week. Enjoy the low humidity tonight, tomorrow. Doesn't last forever. All right. We'd probably be wishing for this kind of air as we get in the latter half of June and July. Just remember that. Okay. All right, guys. Have a wonderful night.